You spent 4 years getting a fashion design degree, landed your dream job at a cool startup, and you're making $42,000 a year. Meanwhile, your friend who works in supply chain management at a boring refrigerator company just bought a house at 26 years old. My name is Alex, and I spend way too much time thinking about why the jobs everyone wants pay absolute garbage money. If you're someone who's been told to follow your passion and now you're wondering why you can't afford rent, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if this helps you dodge one of the biggest financial traps of your entire career. Here's the thing. Society has sold you a massive lie about work, and it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. We've been conditioned to believe that landing a job at a cool company, working in an exciting industry, or building a career around our hobbies equals success. But there's a dark side to this that nobody wants to talk about because it destroys the fantasy we've all been sold. It's called the passion tax, and you're probably paying it right now without even realizing it. The passion tax is the price you pay in suppressed wages when you choose to work in an industry that people actually dream about joining. Gaming companies, fashion brands, sports franchises, entertainment studios, Tesla, SpaceX. These companies know something that you don't realize they know about you specifically. They know you'd work there for less money than you'd accept literally anywhere else. And they're absolutely correct about that. Look, when 100,000 people apply for every game designer position at a company, that company doesn't need to pay market rates anymore. They have infinite, desperate applicants willing to take 30% less just to say they work there on LinkedIn or whatever. Now, you might be thinking this is just some abstract concept, so let me hit you with actual numbers that should make you angry. Tesla, the company that's supposed to represent the future, where Elon Musk posts memes and everyone thinks working there means you're changing the world, their median employee makes $56,163 per year. That's it. You know what Ford pays their median employee? $74,000. General Motors? $64,000 to $77,000, depending on the year we're looking at. These are companies that make cars. Both of them make cars. One is boring and one is exciting, and the boring one pays 20 to 35% more. Ford literally pays you 20 to 35% more to do basically the same type of manufacturing work. This is where it gets really interesting, because this pattern repeats across every single aspirational industry you can think of. The video game industry might be the worst offender here. You've got kids graduating with computer science degrees who could make $120,000 starting at a boring banking software company. Instead, they take $70,000 to work 80-hour weeks at a game studio because they love games and want to make art, or whatever justification they tell themselves. Here's what most people don't realize. That $50,000 per year difference compounds over a 40-year career into literally millions of dollars of lost wealth. We're talking about the difference between retiring at 55 versus working until you're 70. And for what? So you can say you worked on a game that gets review bombed on Steam because the players hate the microtransactions your executives forced you to implement? Now, let me tell you about the executive side of this trap, because it's not just entry-level people getting screwed by the passion tax. You've probably heard about prestigious consulting firms, investment banks, or tech giants where everyone wants to make it to the C-suite. Looks amazing on paper, right? Here's the reality. You spend 7 years getting an undergrad degree and an MBA from a top school, racking up $200,000 in student debt. Then you work 100-hour weeks kissing up to partners and senior management for a decade, destroying your health and personal relationships in the process. Meanwhile, Jim from your high school, who became a regional manager at a logistics company, makes $180,000, works 45 hours a week, coaches Little League, and actually sees his kids grow up. But Jim's job doesn't sound cool at parties, so nobody chooses to be Jim on purpose. Look, I need you to understand why companies in aspirational industries can get away with this. It's not some conspiracy. It's basic supply and demand, but weaponized against your psychology. These companies have figured out that they can pay you partially in prestige instead of actual money, and your brain is dumb enough to accept that trade. When you tell people you work at SpaceX, you get social validation. When you tell people you work at a ball bearing manufacturer, they change the subject. But here's the thing that should make you reconsider everything. That social validation is worth exactly $0 when you're trying to buy a house, pay for your kids' college, or retire with dignity. Social validation doesn't compound. Money does. Let me walk you through a specific example with real numbers so you can see how devastating the passion tax actually is over time. Person A takes a job at a cool gaming company at $70,000 per year. Person B takes a boring job at an industrial equipment manufacturer at $95,000. That's a $25,000 annual difference. Now assume both get 3% raises annually and work for 35 years. Person B will earn approximately $1.2 million more over their career before we even factor in investment returns or compound interest. If person B invests that extra $25,000 per year in a boring index fund, getting 7% returns, they end up with an additional $3.4 million. That's the actual cost of working somewhere cool. $3.4 million. Now you might be thinking, but Alex, if I work at a prestigious company, I'll advance faster and make more money eventually, so it all evens out. Wrong. Here's what actually happens. In most aspirational industries, you get promoted based on how well you play politics and how many hours you're willing to sacrifice, not on merit or results. You spend your 20s and 30s grinding, networking, sucking up to the right executives, hoping that one day you'll break through into real money. And maybe 5% of you actually make it to that level where compensation becomes genuinely impressive. Meanwhile, the boring company gives you steady raises, promotes you on a predictable timeline, and you're making director-level money by your mid-30s without having to pretend to care about your boss's thoughts on blockchain or whatever nonsense is trending this quarter. Here's what most people don't realize, and this is the entire point of this video. Your hobbies and passions should stay hobbies and passions. Work should be the thing that funds your actual life, not the thing that is your life. If you love video games, work at a boring software company making real money and play games in your free time. Build games as a hobby with no financial pressure. If you love fashion, work in supply chain management for a normal retail company, make good money, and design clothes on weekends. Maybe sell some stuff on Etsy. Zero pressure. This is the framework that actually works. Maximize income in an area where you have skills, but not necessarily passion. Use that income to fund the things you actually care about without needing them to pay your bills. Here's where this gets really counterintuitive. When you stop trying to monetize your passion, you actually get to enjoy it more. Because now there's no client demanding changes, no boss criticizing your creative decisions, no market pressure forcing you to compromise your vision for profitability. You just get to do the thing you love because you love it. And you can afford to do it well because you're making real money from your boring job. The people who are happiest in their careers are usually the ones who found something they're good at that pays well. Not the ones who try to force their passion into a paycheck. That's just reality. And I know it's not what you want to hear, but it's true. Let me give you some specific boring industries that pay absurdly well and nobody talks about because they're not sexy. Industrial manufacturing. Engineers and managers making $90,000 to $150,000. Pharmaceutical sales. Base salary of $80,000 to $120,000 plus commission. Logistics and supply chain, directors making $140,000 to $200,000. Waste management, yes, garbage companies. Regional managers making $120,000 to $170,000. These companies are desperate for competent people. They'll train you, they'll promote you, they'll pay you. Because they can't recruit based on prestige, so they recruit based on actual compensation. Now, some of you are thinking, but Alex, what about fulfillment? What about meaning? What about making a difference? Look, I'm not saying money is everything, but I am saying that being broke while chasing fulfillment is way worse than being financially secure while finding fulfillment outside of work. You know what gives you meaning? Having the financial freedom to volunteer for causes you care about. Having time to spend with people you love because you're not working 80-hour weeks. Being able to support your family without constant financial stress eating away at your mental health. The idea that your job has to be your identity is corporate propaganda designed to make you accept lower wages for intangible benefits. Don't fall for it. Here's what you actually do with this information. If you're early in your career, aggressively pursue high-paying, boring work in industries with strong fundamentals. If you're already in an aspirational industry paying you below market rate, start interviewing at boring companies immediately. You'll be shocked at how much more they offer. Take that higher income and build the life you actually want instead of the life Instagram told you to want. Invest the difference, build real wealth, create actual financial security. And keep your passions as hobbies where they belong, free from the corruption of needing them to pay your mortgage. That's how you win. The passion tax is real, it's expensive, and it's optional. You can choose to stop paying it literally today by shifting how you think about work. The people getting rich are the ones who figured this out early. They work boring jobs, make great money, and fund interesting lives outside of work. Meanwhile, the lucky people working dream jobs are struggling to afford health insurance. If this helped you see through the trap, smash that like button and subscribe for more financial reality checks. Now go get that boring money and build the life you actually want.